Greetings, everybody. This is Michael McAvoy with Aqua Foot Bath, and we are going to have our live Aqua Foot Bath event. Right now, I'm going to write a little message here in the chat box to get things started. Please chat to announce yourself. So we have a chat box here, and I'm just typing in here. You can go ahead and put that in there. If you see the chat box, please announce yourself. Put yourself out into the let everybody know you're here, because this is going to be an interactive broadcast. That means that the people who are on the chat can you can chat to each other. You can ask a question. You're free to interact if you like. That's the way you're going to do it with the chat box. So let me first mention that it's been quite a while since we've done a live event like this, and I have to say I apologize for that. Life has been very hectic. So what I'm planning on doing is to try to do these at least every month or two, and so that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Welcome Janet, welcome Pamela, welcome Jill. Announce yourself as you come into the broadcast. Angie, nice to meet you. So as people file in, I'm just going to say a few words about how we're going to do this. These are generally to help educate and to allow you to ask questions that you'd like to make. Also, I'm going to make a few announcements, and so it's generally a good way to interact and to share thoughts. There will definitely be questions, and there'll be some suggestions from people, because people using the Aqua do different things, use it for different purposes. There are people that are practitioners, individuals, and so we're here to share and to help each other learn and to get the most from the Aqua Foot Bath. So we have a bunch of people coming in: Marilyn, Debbie, Connie, Nancy, Tina. Welcome. All right, we have two Debbies actually. All right, so the first thing I'm going to mention is that in the chat and the video, there's a slight delay. The video actually takes about 30 seconds to show up. So you may find that if I say something, ask you to chat, there's a little bit of a delay with the video. So I'll just say that if you have a question at any time during the event, you can put it into the chat box, and there is a place actually for you to you can raise your hand, or just kind of make sure that your question is heard. You can mark it as a question, I believe. So that's the so we have this a slight delay. It's not a big issue at all. Now, in case you hear a noise in the background, I'm going to show you what the cause of that is. Here we go. Wait a minute. Come on. Oh, there it is. Okay. So who do you think this is? Yeah, that's my dog Josie. She can get hyper at times. I'm in the home office this evening, so if you hear a little barking going on, it's just Josie, and she's protecting us all. All right, so let me flip back here. All right, so first a couple of brief announcements. Today is November 2nd, I believe. Let me double check that. Yeah, I think it's November 2nd, and we're going to be having a promotion next week. So starting on it's going to be the 8th or the 9th. You'll get an email on that. Last year we did an additional $100 rebate for you. So that means that regardless of what your your discount level is based on your history, you can tack on an additional $100 discount. So at the end of the year, that's toward the end of the year is usually a good time. People are thinking about those things, whether it be a gift or you might even have a associate or friend who's interested in purchasing, and you could actually pass on that $100 discount and still get what you usually get as a referral. So let's look at where everybody's from here. We have people from Chicago, people from Alberta, Canada, that's Maryland, Debbie from Lakewood, Colorado, Connie from California, Pamela from College Station, Nancy, you're from here. Just kidding. From British Columbia, Lavon. Hey, Lavon. We have quite a few people from Canada. Good representation of people from Canada today. It's awesome to see where Marilyn says it's awesome to see where all these people are from. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I mentioned about the sale that we're going to be having. That'll be on the 8th. And what we're going to do is I'm going to begin by starting with a little bit of a training on, the basics about what different people think about a detox foot bath. And again, you're free to answer questions. Ask questions whenever you want, and I'll do my best to answer them. So think about any questions that you have, maybe something that happened or just a technique in using the machine. That's really why I'm here with you tonight. For those people who know me over the years, I have generally been the one who has answered phones and helped people out directly. But recently that's changed only because my schedule has become very busy. So when you call, you may talk to Mara, and Mara's fairly new, so she's learning the ropes, so to speak. If you have any questions that Mara can't answer, just ask to either have myself speak to you, or you could just ask Mara to email Michael to answer the question. So that's just a quick announcement. Hi, Patty from Florida. How you doing? All right. So right now, I'm going to do a little bit of a presentation, and I'll ask you to watch it, and then type in any questions as the presentation goes on. And then when that's done, I'll go ahead and answer any questions you have. Okay, so I just put these two links in there. I'm hoping that they're going to work. If someone can try to click on uh, the link, I know one of them looks like it's a live link. I'm not sure the other one. Oh, I see what I did. Phew, okay, hold on a sec. I have to put that link in there again. One sec. Do that. Try this again. Okay, so now there are two live links in there. I think that's going to work. All right, let me know. All right. So I got a couple of questions coming in, and I'm going to go ahead and address those now. Let's see. Go back down a little bit. Okay, Debbie asks, I get my modules refurbished periodically by sending them back to Alabama, which is where the factory is. Do the modules ever wear out so they aren't able to be refurbished? Well, the skeleton of the module is the plastic legs and the two colored discs at the bottom and top. Hold on, I got to grab a module. Okay, so here's a module, and when a module is refurbished, everything that's metal in the module gets replaced. So it's basically a new module. The only thing that is doesn't never wears out, actually, unless it's dropped or cracked or whatever, is the plastic parts, the white legs and the colored plastic on the top. So in answer to your question, the modules don't wear out, so you can refurbish them many times and have it last a lifetime. Tina says, lately the bath water for every client has been darker, yet with less surface material than usual. Could this indicate something wrong with my equipment? Is it possible that the wire has poor contact at the center pole? Not likely. If you will see fluctuations, usually due to the water changes in the water supply, but it could be that maybe you're running the machine at a slightly lower level on the intensity. But generally it's the water. There's fluctuations in the water. So there's not an indication of a problem with the machine, although you should probably periodically take some steel wool and give this guy a twist up here. You can see this one, the top of the is a little bit discolored, and that's because it hasn't been cleaned. I like to take a little steel wool and then twist it around a bit, and you'll see it takes more on the color of this brass color down here. Okay, so to keep the contacts clean, make sure the post is clean on top, and that your cable, the red and black connectors, every couple of months you can put them, just the red and black, into the water overnight in your CLR solution, and then rinse them out well and let them dry, and that'll make sure that there's no dirt buildup or anything that's going to get in the way of your contacts. All right, can someone just confirm? I think I haven't gotten a confirmation whether those download links are working, so somebody try it and let me know if it's working. Okay. All right, let's see here. Come back down here. Janet says, I missed part of what you said. What should you do with the water? There's nothing in particular you do with the water. What I was saying is that the water that you use can have an impact on the coloration that you ultimately get out of the foot bath. So, for instance, if you use well water, which is in a very pure state, you're probably going to have lighter water, because some of that discoloration that you see in the water comes from particulates and minerals that get acted on during the process. So that's the reason why you see different colors. generally in different geographic areas. Like in Georgia, you might see a greenish kind of color to the water. In California, you might see a brownish or rusty color. So it kind of depends on the water supply more than anything else. That being said, as many of you know, if you have all things being equal, you have different people sitting in a bath, they're going to have different outcomes, even if the water is the same. So some people are going to have quite a lot of particulates, darker water, things floating on the top of the water, and even for a same person taking several baths, they're going to have fluctuations too. But by and large, the reason, I mean, what we've seen is that if someone has a lower health disposition in the cells in their body, they're going to have darker water than somebody who doesn't. There's one other instance where you'll have lighter water, and that is when you have a water softener, maybe a whole house water softener, tends to lighten up the water quite a bit. Doesn't mean that the treatment's not working or that something's malfunctioning, and nothing like that. As long as you have a reading on your meter that's about 2.5, maybe 3, then and you have that bubbling around the module, then you know that it's working. The color of the water is kind of secondary. As the video showed you, it's more that the electrical properties is what's being transferred to the body. Okay. Was this with no feet being charged use? Connie, maybe you could ask that question again. I'm not sure. Was this no feet charged water being used? I think if you're talking about the seed test, yes, it was just water that was being charged with the Aqua module. And Jill says, put the water on your plants, Janet. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Karen says, sorry, arriving late. Yes, this will be available. You'll get a replay email probably tomorrow. So you can look for that and then open it up and bookmark your replay. Connie's, she says, use only charged water, not the dirty detox foot bath water. For your plants, you can use the water after a foot bath has been done. Dirty is okay for plants. They like the mineral content and things that are in there. And I don't know if you know this, but some of the early testing with the Aqua was done in a plant setting. So agricultural crop yields were measured, being fed with water from charged water from the Aqua versus non-water. It's dramatic changes we're seeing. So if you're using it in your garden, it works well for plants. Okay, Tina says, give the plants the gross water. It's great. Yeah, that's just what I said. All right. Okay. Janet says, if we use the dirty foot bath water, of the toxins we get rid of, do we really want the plants to use it? I would think just use the water that was charged without the feet. No, Janet, actually, the water is not as toxic as it might look. It's actually mostly a natural byproduct of the process. So the plants respond well. I've never seen a plant that didn't love to have that treated water. Okay. Occasionally I've had the water be completely unchanged, clean. Is that an electrical connection issue? No. Sometimes, as I said, as long as your reading is correct on the front of the machine and you see that bubbling around the module, it indicates that the machine is working properly. You could use a little bit of a few pinches of salt to raise the intensity of the treatment. So for instance, if you have it at about 2 on the meter, you can add a few pinches of salt, bring it up to around 3. We don't recommend it going above 3, but up to that point, it works. It will give you some more intensity in there. Okay. Jill says, I've taken steel wool to the copper rings and they get green as much as I can reach. Yeah, that's okay. Jill, everybody, there is a patina that sometimes forms on the copper ring, either green or red. You might see, brown or just blackish particles, things like that. That's not going to hurt your copper ring at all. It's a coating that gets on there. If it looks like it's building up, I would put the module in the CLR solution for a few hours or maybe overnight, and that it'll generally clean it up. You can take a toothbrush to it afterwards just to kind of scrape off any residue, and it generally does a pretty good job. Jill, thanks for letting me know that the links work. That's great. Okay. Oh, we were putting the end of the red and black cord in every time we soak the module. Yeah, you don't. You could do it every time. I wouldn't suggest it. Really, if you do that once a month and make sure that it's clean, it's probably plenty. Okay. And Pamela says, and the longer I left my feet in the bath, the more color. Generally true. In fact, even if you don't have your feet in the water, you will see a change in the color of the water. So there's always some byproduct of the water itself, the minerals, the particulates in the water. Patty says, what about salt? Is it needed? In most cases it is, because most water supplies don't have enough sodium content in order to raise the conductivity of the water. So a few pinches are usually good. So if you have a water softener, though, you might find that that needle kind of goes high without you adding anything, and that's okay. It just means that there's a natural more sodium content as a result of that water softener. Okay. Tina, tell me which link didn't work. I did post a second link. You might have copied the one that was a mistake. So scroll down, up and down at the chat there, and look for 2 blue links. Those are the ones that should work. Okay. Angie says, Michael, I've noticed whenever someone buys a new machine and starts with a brand new module, the water is always dark. Particularly in a foot bath, it can be almost black. You're asking about a new module? Yes, it's kind of like the break-in effect. The first time you use the module, you will see darker water just because it is being used for the first time. So as it breaks in, it's not going to give you that same highly intense dark color. So that's normal. You'll see that, and then it settles into a normal routine as far as how the module is going to work in your area. Jason posted a question: do you have to change both rings at the same time, or can they be changed at different times if they appear to wear out at different rates? Jason, that's a good question. You can do it at different times, so it's really kind of up to you. A lot of people like to just replace everything at the same time because it's easy just to do it at once. But in fact, you might have things wearing out at different rates. In certain areas, the clip that goes onto those 2 rings wears out quicker than the rings themselves. So people will have to order an extra 5 clips or something when they get some supplies, because they know that tends to wear slightly faster in their area. Other areas have the rings that might wear a little quicker than the clips. So it's not, I don't understand the science behind it, but that's how it works sometimes. So the answer to your question is, if you want to get the most bang for your buck out of your ring sets, is first of all, you can take your clip off. I'll show you this. As your ring set wears, this clip deteriorates, and this part that holds on to the 2 rings kind of gets a little bit weak as it wears. So I like to take this off, squeeze this together a little bit, like that, see, and then put it back on the rings so that when it goes on the rings, it's tighter, because this is very important for that connection, the electrical connection in the rings. If you remove this, you know, every 3 baths or so, check it, squeeze it together a little bit and put it back in, it's going to have a tighter connection on your rings, and it's going to give you a few extra baths before you have to change your ring set. Okay, let's see. Angie, I think I answered the question about the darkness of the water in a brand new module. Debbie says several clients ask, what's a water temperature session? Is there a test to find out? Well, we've had many people water tests before and after, and there are dramatic differences in the reading water. But generally because there's more mineral content released in this water as a result of this treatment. So there's not really a biological test that can be done that says that has a relation to the body. It's more kind of a mineralogical analysis more than anything else. If we did 10,000 tests and we knew that people had certain conditions, you know, medical conditions, that, I mean, this would be a very involved study, but I'm sure you probably could draw some references from that. But as it is now, there's really no good way to do that. You will find, if you do test your own water, that before and after are, you know, quite a bit different. That's all I can say. There's not a good medical interpretation that you can make of that, though. All right. Angie says my water is pretty much always clean now. Is that not normal? Karen's question. I've been using it 3 years, so I figured I was getting healthier. Well, I mean, if you've been using it for 3 years, I would agree with you. It doesn't always, it's not always indicative just because the water gets lighter, though. But by and large, you know, we have found that, you know, the healthier you are, the lighter your water tends to be. And it even fluctuates with people who are extremely healthy. From week to week, you know, you'll see changes like that. But people get hung up on that too much, you know, about the color and all that. Really, what you should be focusing on is the cellular improvement in your body. And one thing, if you wanted to, one thing that we found is a personal test device you can get. It's called an oximeter, and it's a little device. You can get it on Amazon. It's spelled, let me type this in for you. 1 second here. It's called an oximeter, and it measures both the blood oxygen content. I think it also will measure your heart rate. But a lot of times when you do a before and after on an Aqua Chi bath, and especially with people who have breathing issues or lung issues, you know, not able to bring enough oxygen into their body, by doing the Aqua Chi, it will raise the oxygen content in your blood, and that's due to the fact that the red blood cells are not clumped any longer. They separate, and when they separate, they're able to assimilate and eliminate toxins, take in nutrients, and exchange oxygen. And so that's why in the presentation you saw that the blood tends to be a very rich red after a bath, because there's a lot of oxygen content in the blood, and that's a good thing. Norma, my understanding is that toxins from the body do not go into the water, but the body eliminates the toxins released in the process. That is correct. You know, there's probably a subdermal release, but it's not like a lot of scam artists or other, you know, Chinese, Asian makes of machines will say that it's a vacuum cleaner sucking toxins out of your feet. That's generally not how it works. We see it as a reflection. The water does give you a reflection, and just to explain why that is, when the body, if you consider the body as a battery with billions of little batteries in it, the person who has a low health disposition is like a battery that's worn out. And what happens is when the charge that's being given off by the Aqua is imparted to the body, that the person who has the low health disposition doesn't take in the charge as readily. It's like when you charge a battery that's towards the end of its life, it takes 3-4 times longer for it to charge. Well, the same is true in the case of a person, that when you charge the water and in turn the body of a person that needs that treatment will be darker because the charge does not enter the body as readily as someone who's healthy. So you'll see a lot of activity in the water, all that working on the particulates and the minerals in the water. So the darker the water is due to that fact. So I hope I explained that okay. Let's see. Patty says we use vinegar and water to soak the module. Well, Patty, vinegar and water, I have found that vinegar tends to be very aggressive against the metal in the modules. The CLR is actually more gentle than vinegar. So, you know, I'd be careful, or maybe, you know, get some CLR and see how much better it does for you. You did say you use water as well, so if it's diluted, the more diluted it is, maybe, you know, you've found a good combination there. Okay, Genesis, mine turned red. What causes the copper disc to wear out? The copper disc wears out over a long period of time, and so you know what it looks like. It's always smooth. It never gets jagged like the rings that you slide in and out of the module. So what happens though is the copper ring over a period of 3-4 years will begin to look like as if it was a lifesaver, you know, that you've had in your, if you just suck on a lifesaver, it gets thinner and thinner, but it still remains its shape and it's smooth. That's what happens with a copper ring. It just gets thinner and thinner, and you'll notice it. If you can ever bend it pretty easily, it's time to change it. And sometimes you'll even see it sever. You know, it'll open up a little break in it. But if it gets that far, you probably let it stay on there way too long. All right. The only kind of water that was almost completely clear was with spring water. Yeah, Tina, that can be the case because again, it tends to be pretty pure. A lot of it. Some of it isn't. You know, you get some store-bought spring water, and that it's not always as clean as they advertise it to be. Tina says, "Oh, I've never used salt. Must be water in Ohio." Yeah, yeah. That's a pretty good thing, Tina. Actually, because if you don't need it, it means you're probably getting a greater life out of your rings, because salt is slightly corrosive, even though you're only putting a couple of pinches in. You need it in order to get the conductivity up. So for the people who take a teaspoon of salt and put it in the water and then adjust the machine, that's not the way you should be doing it. You should be setting your machine to a maximum on the intensity level, and then sprinkling in salt and waiting for the needle to move up to about 2 or 3. Okay, somewhere between 2 and 3. Use the salt to help determine that. Okay, the needle will move based on how much salt you dissolve in the water. Okay. Shirley says did not get the links. Shirley, scroll. There's a little scroll bar next to the chat. You can scroll down toward the beginning. You know, you'll see the links there. I might be able to post them again. I have to go into another part of the computer here to get them, but I think I could do that again. All right, so can those taking medications enjoy the foot bath? Of course. There's no problem with people on medications using the Aqua. It does not interfere with medications, although it can help to remove the byproducts or the waste after having taking medications, okay? So the good thing is that the Aqua does not do anything unnatural to the body. It removes, it does a more efficient job at helping the body to remove toxicity. Because again, if the cells are floating freely and carrying out their function more efficiently, then you're going to see a detoxification effect that's more effective. All right. Okay. I was told that you could put clear fingernail polish on the clip and it helps them last longer. Janet, I think you're onto something. Let me show you this clip. All right, so Janet is correct. When the clip wears, remember I told you a few minutes ago that as the metal deteriorates, the ability of this clip to hold on, it becomes more bendable, I guess is what I'm saying, okay? And when it becomes more bendable, it's not holding onto the rings as well, and that means your baths are becoming less effective. So what people have done, and this actually does work, is you can either take nail polish, or if you've ever seen vinyl, there's like a vinyl paint that you could put like on handles of tools and screwdrivers, things like that. You can actually paint either nail polish or that vinyl paint stuff from around here to here, not where it contacts the rings, but between them. And what that does is it keeps the integrity of the strength of the hold onto the rings for a longer period of time. So that is a good tip there. All right. So try the clear nail polish or that vinyl dip paint. I forget what it's called. Okay. Jill was accurate that you want to make sure that you don't put the nail polish on a part of the clip that contacts the rings. So you'll leave that out. Okay, Shirley says the well water has a good amount of sodium because it goes up to 3.5 without adding any salt at all. Is that okay? It just means that you have more sodium content in the water. You could probably dial down the power level control to bring it under 3 or around 3, and that should be fine. Karen says that the sound just got awful. Maybe I want to make sure that everybody can hear me well. So if anybody else, why don't you just chime in and say, yes, I hear it. Horrible reverb. Interesting. Okay. I do not know why that is. I'm going to put my mic on mute for a second. Okay, and I'll try this again. Hopefully the sound gets better. We're going to see if this continues. It's very difficult to hear you. It's echoing. Okay, I'm going to try something with the sound. Let's do this. Okay, I've tried to make an adjustment. Hopefully this is going to improve things. Marilyn is asking if you're using vinegar and water, what's the ratio? I think it was 50%. Eek, sound is awful. Tell me if the sound improved after I made that adjustment, okay? Oh, thank you, Janet. Good, very good. Patty, could you chat a little more and say more about this 1 ounce of Dawn Clear? That's the dishwashing liquid, I suppose. I'd like to know how you're using that. because generally have found that soapy solutions may not be the best because they do tend to coat metal. All right. Good. Sound is better. Thank you, Marilyn. Okay. Patty, is it the vinegar and water that you think that works better than CLR? Okay, Pamela's asking, I was wondering if anyone could give some advice for starting this type of business of giving foot baths. Well, I know that we have quite a few practitioners on the chat, so please feel free to type in some ideas there. I can give you one that when you do start, it's a good practice to give people a really reasonable first introductory type of session or a series of sessions. Maybe a husband and wife, you'd have a session or a special for two people, that kind of thing, because people have to experience it, and it's by giving them a very reasonable introduction, it tends to help with longer term. How is the best way to answer when people ask if you can overcharge? Now, I think what you're saying there, Jason, is that that you might be in the bath too long or something like that. Well, there is really no way to get overcharged. Okay, what does happen is, and the best analogy I can use is that there are it's like a glass of water. When you're filling a glass of water, you fill it to the top. If you keep filling it, it's still a full glass of water, but it's going to be overflowing, and you won't be getting the benefit of the water that's overflowed. So it's the same with taking a foot bath, that it's never going to hurt you. Although I have heard that people who have been in longer than the average, which is about 35 to 40 minutes, have sometimes been kind of energized, like where they've had a cup of coffee, or their body's really kind of on a high. So maybe before bed, it's not the best time to do it, depending on who you are. Some people, it really relaxes them. So it's probably something you'd have to experiment with a little. Janet, the module I have was bought from a friend. The copper disc is worn out from the inner edge. That is exactly how the copper ring does wear. So if you see it wearing out from the inner edge, it probably means that you're going to want to replace that pretty soon. Okay, but there's nothing wrong. It's nothing to be concerned about. I have a lady, Marilyn says, I have a lady who's plagued with a metal taste in her mouth for the past few weeks. Will the foot baths help her? I would, try it for sure. It could mean that she's got a buildup in her body of metal toxicity, and we have had good reports from people, even people who had been on what do they call it? Chelation therapy. That's a therapy that removes heavy metals from your body. So I would definitely try it with that lady and see how it works. Patty says no toxins and polish. Not after it's dried, I don't think. It's obviously pretty toxic when you're putting it on, most of that stuff. Fingernail polish, FYI, is a great idea. Good. Next time we're on, I want to hear everybody who tried it. See how much more life you got out of your clips there. Okay, Pamela says she can hear okay. It's cleared up. Good. Sounds fine. Marilyn sent me an email. Metal taste. I can share. Okay. Thanks, Janet. Let me go ahead and see what else we got here. Michael, when the copper parts need changing, I believe we can do that ourselves. Absolutely, that's right. You can get at our website, we have all of the parts for the module. So you can literally build a module from scratch if you wanted to, but generally all the metal parts are what you would need. Okay, we have a DIY kit for those people who are pretty expert who have taken their modules apart, and what we give you is all of the metal parts in the module, and you can go ahead and replace them. There are videos on our YouTube site let me go ahead and give you that link actually. One sec. Channel. Okay, I'm going to give you the direct link to our YouTube channel, and this has all of the videos on how to do different things. Do that. So Patty says she uses a one quart bottle, 50/50, with water and vinegar, with 1 ounce of cleaning of dishwashing detergent. So the detergent, I'm curious about that. It doesn't leave any residue, Patty. It doesn't sound like in 32 ounces of water, if you have 1 ounce of Dawn, it's pretty concentrated stuff. As long as you rinse it pretty well, I think it probably doesn't hurt, though. How often do you need to change the CLR? The CLR will last at least a year, as long as you put it in a covered container in between cleanings. It will tend to get darker because there is stuff coming off the module. If it gets to a point where you really can't see through it anymore, I would probably change it. But by and large, it will evaporate a bit over a year, so you just top it off with a little more CLR, and it lasts a long time. So I have had no problem getting a lot of life out of the CLR. Donna says, if the audio gets bad, there's a reconnect button at the bottom of your screen for audio and video problems. Okay, thanks for that tip. Can those taking medications enjoy the foot bath? I think you asked that, Pamela. Yes, they can. Janet's asking about the copper disc. I'm going to give you a video for that. Just 1 sec. I'm going to find this for you. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to give you that video for changing the copper ring. Take a look at that when you can. Janet. Mike Adams, Jill says, just today had an article posted about how seriously toxic nail polish is, but I didn't read the details on which brands were worse. Okay. Interesting. I would say on your body, if it's true, it's probably a lot worse than putting it on a clip in the water, because the water is going to be thrown out. I don't think it's going to pose any threat for a foot bath. That's just my personal belief on that. Jill says, I've never changed my CLR in 3 years. Is that bad? Well, as long as it's working for you and it doesn't look too dirty, I think that's going to be fine. Okay, Janet, thank you. Marilyn says, would love to have info sheet that I can use to help me explain how the foot bath works. Okay. Jill, thank you. You posted that. All right. So it looks like we may be running short on questions now. Good lively questions tonight. I'm going to go ahead and give you those links from earlier, Shirley, so you have that. Here's the one on the blood pressure, and let me give the other one. Oh, where did it go? Let's see. What did I put in there? Okay, blood pressure. Oh yeah, charged water. Here's the charged water. All right, and one other thing I'm going to give you, which was not on today's agenda, but I'd like to add it for you. This is just some good books on different areas that you can use on Well, I'll let you open it and read it for yourself. But there's different areas of your life, your mental health, your bodily health, your nutrition, things like that. So I have a little reading list there that I have on that PDF. So I'd like you all to check that if you like. For personal use, how often is too often to use the Aqua Chi? Every day is probably too often, unless you have a serious life-threatening illness like cancer. In those cases, you probably you would be benefited by having it every day. It's not going to hurt you doing it every day, but for most people, every other day is good because it allows your body to adjust in between. It allows the toxins in your body to be released through the bowel and the urine, through your pores. So giving your body that rest in between can be helpful. Debbie says, I understand the effects last for 72 hours. They do. They do. They're cumulative, so it's not like that you get in the bath and it only lasts during the bath. They literally do change the activity of the blood cells in your body. Okay, Karen says, occasionally I forget the module in the CLR, and sometimes the bath smells like CLR. Should I run the bath without feet if I've left the module in too long? No, just make sure you rinse the module very well before you put it in a bath. So after you remove it from the CLR, use some hot water, hopefully with some good pressure in it, and rinse the module off. Well, it should be fine. We've talked about how often we should take the bath. 24 to 48 hours. For every 2 days is the general rule for most people. So do it every 48 hours. If you have an acute situation where you have the flu or cold or something like that, use it for a few days straight. That's the times when you want to probably use it more often. But as a maintenance, every other day is good. In fact, after people have been using it for months, then you can actually go less. You can use your body as the judge. So for instance, there are people who have conditions that they know when the time to take a bath is, and one of those is arthritis. There are people who have arthritic conditions, especially in the lower extremities, that when they do the bath, they can go for 2, 3, 4, 5 days and not have to take a bath. But depending on what your body is telling you, that's probably the indicator to how frequently you should set the bath for yourself. Shelley, Michael, would you be able to send us a list of the links you're sharing to our emails after the webinar? No, I think what you are going to get, though, is you're going to get a replay of the webinar with those links in it. So you'll be able to come back to it and do it. Actually, you can scroll up and down that chat right now and save those links too. Just paste them into a email or some sort of Word document, and you've got them. Okay. Okay. Janet asks, if you put it in the bathtub, how do you clean the tub after? When you use it in a bathtub, first, it's okay to do that. You want to make sure that you elevate the module somewhat using maybe a Tupperware container so that the module sits up at the top of the water just like it does with a foot bath. That way you will not wear out your cable. Those black and red connectors getting full of water all the time is probably not a good thing. Although it will work, it's just going to wear out your cable sooner. The water in a full bathtub is not going to be as dark as in a foot bath, so you won't have as much of residue. But the best way to clean the bath afterwards is to take a little CLR on a sponge and just wipe around the tub. It will remove any kind of coloration, anything like that. In fact, you don't really need to have abrasives to do that. The CLR on a sponge does a pretty good job. Okay. Jill says, do you want to keep your feet still while in the foot bath? You can move your feet. I wouldn't go wild moving it around because sometimes it can stir up salt that that falls to the bottom of the tub. Sometimes people put too much salt in, it goes to the bottom and sits until somebody shakes up their, stirs up the water. All that sodium gets kicked up in the water, and that will actually cause the needle to whoop, sometimes go all the way up to 4 or 5, and it could blow a fuse. So salt is the #1 reason you blow a fuse. So keep that in mind. Okay. Christina says, can someone with a knee replacement have a foot bath? Absolutely. No problems there. The current contraindications for the foot bath are pregnant women and people who have had live organ transplants. So it's a pretty small segment. Before you go, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Patty. Jill, I don't, okay, it's just a comment. Okay, looking. Debbie says, should I get new cables after years of use? If your machine is operating well, you can use the cable as long as it does well. Now, what the most frequent thing that happens with a cable is there'll be a short that develops, from taking it on and off the module a lot. And when that happens, you'll know that you probably have an issue with the cable when you can turn on the machine, but the needle stays on 0. You've got everything going. You've got your module in the water with the cable. You've put in your salt, but the needle still reads on 0. Well, that tells you your white cable is probably at fault. So if you have 2 cables, try the other cable, and that will probably fix it. And you'll probably need to replace the one that's not working correctly. Okay. Okay, disinfecting wipes, Clorox wipes the rings around the tub. So does soap and water. Yeah, all of that's going to work good, Angie. Jill says, before buying an Aqua, I did some sessions with a different unit, and they said to keep my feet very still. So I wondered if it made a difference for the skin to pick up the electrons. No, I don't know why they would say that. Probably had something to do with not touching the module, maybe, keeping your feet at a reasonable distance away from the module. Okay. Keeping feet still. Okay. One thought about the having your feet in the water, that has to do with wearing jewelry. So if you wear a toe ring, for instance, you probably don't want to do that when you're having a foot bath because it's more conductive than the skin. And that means that any electrical conductivity is going to be kind of super attracted to that ring area, which you probably don't want that. You want to have it generalized across the skin, that's in the bath. Pamela says, I've had different reactions from treatment from different people, tingling and irritability. Comments. Yes, you probably, for those people, need to lower the intensity level of the bath. Definitely for a tingling or, prickly, people will feel a prickly kind of shock on their skin. That's because they have sensitive skin. So you want to lower the intensity of the bath, and ask them, is that more comfortable? And then they'll inevitably say yes, and that's probably where you want to keep the bath. Just find that threshold for them. Now, if you have an abrasion or a scar or a cut, something like that, that is also sensitive. And so if you're giving someone a bath, you want to make sure that they're comfortable. And just say, do you feel any uncomfortable tingling? And you can adjust the intensity level so that they're comfortable. That's all you need to do there. Do you have brochures or information sheets in PDF? Yeah, if you go to aquachifootbath.com/resources, there's a resources section. You can download a manual, a brochure, and there's a couple of other documents there as well you can do. I'm going to be adding videos to that page as well from our YouTube channel so that you can access the videos right on our website too. Jill says, I keep my feet fairly still, but I allow the water to move around the bottom of my feet, but not splash onto the top. That sounds like a pretty comfortable way to do it. Okay, is it necessary to add salt to the water for better conductivity? Yes, you want to have enough conductivity so that you can get a reading between 2 and 3 with the power level control set to max. And the reason you set it to max is because that way you don't have to put a lot of salt in order to get the proper reading. So for instance, if you turned it down clockwise, you'll have to put in 2 or 3 times more salt, and that's going to be corrosive to the module. So by starting with it on max and putting a small amount of salt, that's going to make your rings and all the metal elements in your modules last longer. Okay. Okay. Thanks to everybody who are sharing. It's great to see you guys interacting like that. And again, when the replay comes out, if you've missed or if you didn't download a link, the replay will actually have the chat along with it. So you'll be able to download those links on the replay too. If you have any questions following the this broadcast, you can go to the replay page, and there'll be a way to ask a question right through at the bottom, right where you enter your chat lines. There'll be an email. It'll just be an email, so it'll email a question to client support at aquachifootbath.com. Okay, so I think we've gone about an hour and 10 minutes. I think we had a lively group with us today. Thank you all. You've done great. I love the all the contributions you made for this. So Marilyn, thank you. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Debbie, Janet, Christina, Jill, Pamela, Angie, all you guys. Thanks for coming on. And look for the replay link coming tomorrow probably. And next week, again, there'll be a $100 rebate that we're starting up on any unit purchase. So if you've got at a certain discount, you'll get an additional $100, and that goes for whether you purchase one or whether you refer a unit. So it's going to go to the $100 will go to the purchaser. So it's just going to be the benefit for someone you recommend to purchase, or if you buy one, you get it directly off $100 yourself. That, for people who are watching this video on the replay, is from November 9th, 2015 to November 16th. And so that's only for that week. So I wish we could say it goes on forever, but it won't. So take advantage of it if you've been thinking about getting one. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great evening. We'll try and do this again next month, hopefully. Okay? Thanks.